What's up, everybody, and welcome back. We are now doing part 2 in our series of fertilizer budgeting. If you haven't seen the first video, why don't you jump back and watch that? You'll see this eye icon pop up a few times throughout the course of the video to remind you to just look back if you haven't seen it yet. But today we are delving into the world of online fertilizer purchasing and looking at what the cost per thousand is on those materials and where some of the good buys are that are out there so that you can make a good informed decision on your fertilizer purchases. So, let's go ahead and roll that intro. So I want to cover off a few things here, just some parameters for this video so everybody understands what's going on. First and foremost, this is not meant to be a video bashing any product out there or trying to recommend something over anything else. This is just merely how you can weigh out the cost per thousand of what you're seeing online and just become better educated as a consumer. So in the last video, we covered off all of the things about going and buying from brick and mortar, called around to check prices on a couple of things locally, and just got a good idea about what the market is currently selling fertilizers for out there. And they kind of range depending on what you're getting, but it seemed like a lot of the things averaged between about $3.25 up to about $7.50 a thousand. And then if you were getting into things like urea or ammonium sulfate and just straight nitrogenous products, those are going to be considerably less, running, somewhere in the $1 to maybe $1.65 range per thousand square feet if that was the only product you were looking for. So a couple of things here that we should take note of and just get it out there so everybody understands. For a lot of the materials that you're seeing online and what's being recommended to you by other YouTubers or social media people like myself are going to be like a slightly more special than what you're going to find in stores. And when I mean slightly more special, we're moving beyond just NPK, and usually you're going to find some other things in there. Whether that's additional organic matter, whether that's additional micronutrients, it could be anything, but it's something to move it beyond just a typical NPK product. If that's all you're looking for is just a standard, say like a triple mix fertilizer, like a 10-10-10, 15-15, 16-16-16, whatever it's going to be, I'm still going to recommend you buy that from a brick and mortar. It's going to save you a lot of money because it's just a basic blend. And we're going to point out a few of those just that are for sale online that definitely don't really add up in terms of overall value. So let's look at a couple of those right now and what is available online from some larger retailers. And I'm going to jump over to Do My Own. Obviously, if you don't know who Do My Own is, they have a significant catalog of fertilizers, amendments, chemicals, you name it. Like, it's a pretty wide catalog and a good resource for a lot of people as far as purchasing lawn care and pest control items online. So if you do a quick search on there for fertilizers, you're going to find a whole lot of stuff, from Osmocote to Peters to Malorganite to things like that. And one of the ones that I popped up, and this is why I mentioned that maybe buying a triple balanced fertilizer isn't the best thing to do online if that's all you're looking for is the NPK value, is something like this. This is the Peters product that they sell on Do My Own. That is a triple 20 that's on there, and it's $55 for a 25-pound bag, and that includes freight to your door. Well, if you break that down on application rates, this type of material right here is going to run you about $10 a thousand. That gets pretty expensive for something that, as you could see from the previous video, I had a triple 16 quote that came out somewhere in the mid $4 range from a local supplier.
The 16-16-16 only comes in a 40-pound bag.
Okay.
And it covers, I want to say, 65 square feet.
Okay. Do you know what the cost is on that one?
It's going to be $29.99.
Okay, perfect. Going out at the same rate of N per 1,000 square feet. So even though less of an analysis, still the same rate of N going down on the ground at the end of the application. The next one that I'm going to pull up on Do My Own, because we did talk about it in the last video as well, is Malorganite. That's the old standby that's on there. For this one on here, 38 bucks a bag. Now, I had people post in the last video that if you lived in Milwaukee, you can get it around 10 bucks. If you lived out here where I am, it's going to run about 25 bucks. In other areas of the country, it's around 15, 16, 18 dollars. So it still takes the top spot as one of the most expensive. Even at 10 bucks a bag in Milwaukee, you're still running over $4 a thousand to use it, which can be pretty expensive for something you're going to the store and buying. But on here, this is actually going to push more than $15 a thousand if you were to order it online. So right out of the gate, probably not going to be the best thing for you unless you're okay with just paying for the convenience factor, or it's something that you can't get locally. Again, this is one I just recommend you're rolling over and purchasing at a home improvement store. It's going to serve you a lot better and your pocketbook, because that material for a 50-pound bag to get it shipped to you is not cheap. It's just going to cost a lot to move. That's all there is to it. So now let's move on to one that I think people are starting to see through Facebook and through different social media posts and things like that. And that's the new Yard Mastery line that Alan is putting out, which is actually fairly robust. And I think we should pull those up real quick. Now, those are not in stock yet, but looking at the labels, there's some cool stuff that's going to be going on there. And I want to talk about, first off, this flagship 2406. Now, again, when you first take a look at this, you're like, okay, 2406, maybe that's something that I can find locally and get a good mix of fertilizer that's not going to be $59.99. Well, let me break this down just a little bit further so you understand what's going on here. So not only has he spiked this with a little bit of iron, there's actually some minor elements that have gone into this material too, which I think are easy to overlook. So again, if you are just looking for NPK values, you should probably go down to the store. But if you're looking for something that contains a little bit extra, as Alan is spiking this with his Bionite mix, plus boron, copper, iron, manganese, molybdenum, zinc, he's getting some extra materials in there as well that actually make this stand out. And that particular product is rated for 15,000 square feet, which puts this squarely at $4 a thousand delivered to your door, which is going to make it pretty hard to beat. Now, the beauty of this is it's sort of comboed with some other material that he's got going for different types of year, and all of these are meant for doing 15,000 square feet, which is pretty nice. So you can be buying things that might last you a little bit longer if you have a smaller yard, but $4 a thousand on anything that you see in here is actually pretty good. Even if I pull up this one, this 1212, as I mentioned before, if you were running and buying a triple mix fertilizer, typically just for the NPK, you'd want to get that at a brick and mortar store. But on here, you're seeing something a little bit different because, again, adding with the Bionite material that's in there, plus we've got another little slew of goodies in here: boron, copper, iron, manganese, molybdenum, zinc. There's always going to be a bit of extra minor material in there, as well as the organic matter that moves beyond just the standard NPK values from another location. And again, from looking at what I mentioned the other day, $4.63, I believe, is what the number came out per thousand for a 1616 with no extra goodies in it. This is coming in squarely at $4 a thousand, which ends up being a tremendous value. Now let's jump over to another triple balance that I know people have seen a lot. And again, I just want to make sure and I'm perfectly clear that none of this is about saying that any of these products are bad, wrong, or you are bad and wrong for using it. None of that is about this. This is just on a cost per thousand rate, kind of looking at things that way. So again, looking at a triple balance, 10-10-10 from Anderson's that I've seen recommended multiple times. This material does contain quite a few extra little goodies in there. Depending on how you are actually going to do this rate, it gets a little tricky kind of figuring out the total amount. But what they're recommending is basically a 0.36 pound rate of N per 1,000 square feet, a third of a pound, which really isn't a whole lot. I don't know that you're going to get the big green up that you want out of it. So if we were going to bump this and actually give it a little bit more of a shot, you'd probably want to put down about double that rate to get just a standard feeding. So if that were the case on an 18-pound bag, you're going to get about 3,000 square feet out of this, and delivered to your door, this material is $34, 3,000 square feet. You're back over about $10 a thousand, which makes that kind of a pricey piece of material, even with extra goodies. So here's the piece where I want to talk just a little bit further down the line on some of the costs of these items. Now, I haven't run over what my material goes for, and I should explain that real quick. I don't want to make this a sales pitch towards Greene County products, but if you want to see how ours breaks down on a cost per thousand, then you're going to need to pause this video in 3 seconds. Ready? 3, 2, 1. So that's everything that we've got that we currently sell into the DIY market, broken down on a cost per thousand square feet, and you can take a look at that, double check the math, and that's all there is to it. There's a piece of all of this that I really think is important to note and that people should really take in mind when you're buying materials online. Most of what you're hearing about, most of what you're seeing is coming from someone like myself talking about a new product, sharing something that they've been using, or just giving information about something new in the marketplace. That holds value. It holds value because it helps educate you, and you have somebody that you can reach out to that's going to talk about exactly how it works, how it goes down, answer any questions you may have that you might not be able to get anywhere else. If I was to say, Braxton, I want you to put one bag in your truck and drive it to my house and then show me how to apply it and answer every question that I have about it, what would that cost me?
$75 roughly.
75 bucks. Okay, so it's 75 bucks plus the cost of material. So that bag's going to cost me 100 bucks. That's basically what I'm looking at now, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. That's fantastic. There's kind of a different level of customer service when it comes from a lawn care community guy recommending products and saying, here's how you use it, here's how much it costs, here's how often you should put it down, here's everything that's in it, and here's the result of that material. All of those have a significant amount of value in comparison to trying to walk to the store and ask a sales associate, hey, tell me everything about this particular fertilizer. Usually you're not going to get a very good answer. So jumping back into everything, this is what I would suggest to anybody out there as they're going in and they're shopping and they're lining out everything for the season. There's a few things to consider. How many times does a product have to get touched in order to get to you? If it has to be put through 3 or 4 or 5 different hands, the price is going to go up significantly. How far does it have to ship in order to get to you? That is going to affect your price as well. Is it something that you can find locally, or are you buying something special for a very special reason? That's a really big consideration, because again, a lot of these more specialized materials are only available online and they're not at a lot of the local retail stores. The next thing is, who are you supporting in the purchases of these materials? For a lot of people, like myself, we're running small businesses and we're putting product out all over the country, have a load of employees, we're delivering, we're doing fulfillment, we're manufacturing, we're doing the whole thing. And that actually holds a significant amount of value as well, as you get to interface with the people who are totally connected to that particular material. The final thing that I'm going to say on this particular video is this. Take a look at what the overall price is. Again, this is the math on how this works. Take a look at the overall price of whatever the product is. Take a look at the application rate and see how many thousands of square feet it actually covers. Take away the zeros, divide up into that cost, and you're going to see what your cost is per 1,000 square feet. Then break that out over how often you are supposed to apply that material. How many times a year are you actually looking at putting it down? All of those things add up to what your overall budget is going to be. And if you can find where you can save a little money here and there, it really is going to add up on the long run when you're doing these multiple applications. So that's it for part 2 on here. Hopefully you guys learned a little bit of information, made you a little bit smarter getting out there and looking as you're pricing things out online. In the next one, we're going to drive a little bit more into the liquid side and how that all compares into budgeting against granulars, where you're going to get the most bang for your buck at what times of year, and we'll see what other surprises come of it. But that's it. I'll talk to you guys real soon. See ya.